Manchester United have just lost 3-0 to Liverpool, and it is time for United fans to start worrying. Wait, no it's not. It's pre-season. The result literally couldn't matter less. The scoreline is not important, but the performance is, and there are certainly things we can learn from the game, and we did. So let's take a look. So we'll start off with United in possession, although today this will be fairly brief, because I don't know that we saw too much different from the previous games. However, what we did see was at times real sharpness from some of these players on the pitch, particularly in forward areas. Marcus Rashford again looking incredibly sharp, Amas looking sharp when he's moving the ball forward, Ahmad on the right hand side perhaps not making the right decisions in the final third, but still being bright and positive. So United are certainly getting there in terms of sharpness, match fitness, match readiness, which is a good sign as we head towards the start of the season. In terms of structurally, tactically, we saw that Erik ten Hag again this season I think will be quite rotational with his shape. We will see players moving into different positions to operate different spaces and to manipulate the opposition. So at times, for example, last night we saw United setting up in a back three. One of the fullbacks would drop deep into the back three, or Casemiro could do it as well. We would see then, sometimes, two holding midfielders in front of them, and then we could see actually everyone else on the pitch moving all the way forward onto the last line, giving United this sort of 3-2-5 shape in possession. We could also see this tinkered slightly. We could see Casemiro holding by himself, Collier pushing a little bit further forward, Mason Mount coming a little bit deeper, and then Marcus Rashford moving inside, now giving us a sort of 3-4-3 but with a diamond in the middle of the pitch. But there was another shape we could see as well. Clearly this was rotational. We could actually see a back two in possession, just with your typical two centre backs, and then the fullbacks either side of Casemiro. Now they're not fully inverted alongside Casemiro, but they're also not too wide. They got themselves in quite a nice position. Collier and Mason Mount are then going to push either side of Jadon Sancho, with Marcus Rashford and Ahmad providing the width. This was, for me, the main theme on the ball for United, just a changing of shape. So we can see the 2-3-5 shape here. It allows United to overload that last line. Collier makes a run into the final third. Sancho is able to find them. Because United have 5 attackers against the 4 defenders, you create the overload, you find a spare man, and you get yourself into a nice position. So that's why United use this shape at times. Like we've said already though, this could also change as well into more of a 3-2-5 shape like we've got on screen here. Now on this occasion I believe we've got actually one of the centre backs playing in midfield alongside Collier here, and then once again we have got that front 5. So we're going to get some similar benefits. You can see along this last line, United have 5 forwards, Liverpool only have 4 defenders. So should United be able to move the ball forward quickly, again you've got the overload. So again it's a good shape from United, but the key thing is that it's rotating. I'm not actually too interested for today in what we're doing once we get here. I'm just looking at actually structurally the ways we're moving into different areas. You can see Amas over here moving inside the pitch, trying to leave this room out wide for Marcus Rashford. And that has been a theme in pre-season. At times trying to get our wingers 1v1, and I like it because they have been positive on the ball, they have been aggressive, and they have looked to attack. And then finally that other shape we've got is the 3-4-3 with a sort of diamond or a square or a weird shape in the middle of the pitch. But the idea is to try and get a solo pivot in this position here. If we mark Collier over here, you can see him playing as a solo pivot. He's trying to get between these two forward players. He's trying to be that pivot option for United on the ball. We can see that we've also got width though. We've got Wan-Bissaka high and wide on the right hand side, Marcus Rashford high and wide on the left, Jadon Sancho in a sort of false 9 position with Mason Mount and Ahmad around him. Now this was a shape that United used really well in the game against Arsenal. In this game I don't know that we saw it so much, but again United looked bright on the ball. I thought particularly in the first half United had some really good stuff in possession. In the first half hour United moved the ball forward really quickly, really well. Although to be honest, I actually think more of the impressive stuff from United in that early stage came from out of possession stuff. So I actually want to focus more on that today. I just quickly wanted to interrupt the video there to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, jerseyfifa.com, the home of affordable football kits. If you use the link in the description down below, you will find yourself a website which has all of the newest releases, home shirts, away shirts, and actually even old classic shirts as well. And if you don't actually want to wear the shirt yourself, I've heard they make a pretty good background display as well. So if you want to get yourself a shirt, use the link in the description and use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off your order. Go check it out. Now the positive out of possession work for United came in this game with a high block turned to a high press. And the way that United are going to go about doing this is by using a very similar shape to what we've seen throughout pre-season off the ball, a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2 or a 4-2-4, depending on the height of the two wingers. But the plan basically, when you're in a high block rather than a high press, is initially to cut passing lanes rather than applying pressure to the ball. So if we were in a high press and Konate had the ball here, Mason Mount would instantly sprint at him. But because we're in a high block, the intention more is to block passes into Jones and Gravenberch in midfield. So what United are actually doing is surrounding these two with these 4 players. However, United are still aggressive, they're just waiting for the right moment. So let's say Quansah has the ball. Initially, United will be in a high block. We're going to prevent passes into these areas. We're quite comfortable with where we are. However, if the ball is going to go backwards from Liverpool, or they are to take a negative touch for one reason or another, let's say they play a square pass backwards though, a little bit to Konate, this can now be the trigger to go man for man. Now the way that United do this is fairly simple. You can see it in the shape on the screen here. Mason Mount naturally moves up one, Jadon Sancho moves up one, and the 2 midfielders also have to come up and move just a little bit higher to put United into this man-to-man shape. And again, we've got it here, the 4-2-4 shape, with that focus on initially blocking the opposition's double pivot. They're not allowed the ball in these areas. That is what United are trying to do with their pressing shape, or their high block shape. What we are then going to see, though, is a backwards pass from Liverpool. Back here. It's not gone back too many yards, but it's enough for United to use this as a trigger to go press a little bit higher. And what we're going to see very quickly is every player clearly has a player that they need to lock onto. So I'll leave that there for a second just so you can see it. Every player clearly has someone that they need to go to. The right winger to the left back. The left winger to the right back. You know, the 2 forward players onto the 2 centre backs, etc. It's fairly easy to see. And this allows United to look on man for man in these forward areas, you know, 6 versus 6 in this position. And ultimately connect one of the defenders to the press as well and win the ball back really high at the pitch. It's really good pressing play from United. And this is something that we've done already in pre-season. So this is a really good sign. This is a cohesive team press. Something we didn't have last season. The defenders joining the press, the forwards all going at the same time into the same areas. It's actually really good for United. I really like this. I really like this. But in terms of lessons learned, this is where I learned more about this United team, was a couple of issues with the press where teams could potentially manipulate Manchester United. And Liverpool done that and United didn't really have the answers. Now it's not a massive issue. Again, it was pre-season. It doesn't matter. But it is something for Ten Hag to try and figure out moving forward. So let's take a look at those lessons, because they were a slight negative, but again, it's not a massive issue. So as I was saying there, the issue is when the opposition's movement is good. Particularly in a man-to-man system, it's quite easy to move players about, right? If you know the player next to you from the opposition is going to follow you no matter where you go, you therefore have choice over where he goes. And if he isn't going to follow you wherever you go, well then at some point you're going to break the pressing system. So for example, let's say the right back's got the ball over here, and we can see United are man-to-man, it's fairly obvious. That makes it quite easy to create space. Because, for example, if Gravenberch decides to move forward, Collier, being man-to-man with him, has to follow him. If he doesn't, Gravenberch is now the free man, and that's an issue. So Collier does have to follow him into this area. But we can now see this is going to open up a massive space in here. Now Sancho's not going to drop into this space, because he is still man-to-man with Quansah. And Quansah, particularly if he's in a deeper position, can draw the attention of Sancho. So this big space has opened up in this area of the field. Now all Liverpool need to do is move into that space, and someone like Curtis Jones can do that. Now drifting across from the other side. Now, actually, as the game is happening, this is going to all be happening at the same time. So Gravenberch is going to make that movement forward as Jones steps in. We've just kind of slowed it down a little bit here. And it gives Casemiro a massive question, because does he follow him? But if he does, he's leaving this whole right side of the pitch open. You know, he's a right central midfielder. To be pressing high in the left half space is really dangerous. But if he leaves him, Liverpool have the spare man. And Curtis Jones is able to get the ball, turn, receive, and play quite easily and move the ball forward. So this was something that United struggled with a little bit. Again, because it was pre-season, it doesn't matter. We've got time to try and find the solutions. But it is something that we have to just keep an eye on moving forward as we head towards the season. Just something to keep an eye on, because Liverpool did use this well. And like I said, it comes from the right back dropping a little bit deeper, because Rashford initially doesn't want to go all the way with him, because he doesn't want to be drawn out that far. You can see United at the moment are in the high block, rather than quite committing to the man-to-man yet. And that's where the question marks come in. Because as this ball goes wide, we're going to see Gravenberch make this movement, and it's going to drag Collier. And of course, we can see that space now opening up. He wants to move into there, and he does move into there. And as he does, Casemiro is, you can see it for yourselves, several yards away from this. He doesn't get particularly close. And Liverpool, as a result, are able to get on the ball, move the ball wide down the right-hand side, and they've caused a big problem for United. That was probably the biggest problem in general, to be honest. Casemiro, and when he's meant to go and when he's not. You could see in that last clip, he wasn't touch tight. He left that little bit of space. Is that instruction? Is that an individual error? We're not too sure because we don't know what the manager is saying. But it did keep happening a little bit in this game. Because again, we can see United are man for man. Now we've got Collier in here, actually incredibly tight man for man. Casemiro giving him a little bit more space, but he's still close enough. There's nothing wrong with this at all. This is fine. But what you're going to see in a man-to-man system is the opposition will try and test how far they can take you. You know, you want to man mark me. You want to follow me wherever I go. How far are you really willing to go? Those are the questions that Liverpool were asking in this game. And United didn't really have the answer. You can see here, he's going to drop deep. He goes, this guy wants to follow me. I'm going to drop right deep into my defensive line. Let's see if Casemiro follows. And as he drops deep, Casemiro doesn't follow. He's miles away from him. And now if we turn this into a quick mini game over on this side of the pitch, Liverpool are now 3v2. Now not only are they 3v2, we can actually see that this player is on the turn. And that's a problem because you've got a player in a deep area on the turn with time on the ball, whilst we have committed 6 players quite high up the pitch. So that's a concern again for United. Now, again, don't go overboard with how negative that could be. It's a problem. Liverpool deserve credit actually for kind of finding this weakness and exposing it, exploiting it if you like. And Liverpool were really good once they got through the press. If Liverpool could play through the first phase, they caused a lot of problems for United. From a United point of view, I thought on the ball it was really good. We should have scored goals in this game. I'll never quite understand how we didn't. I believe we had more than double the shots of Liverpool in this game, but they scored the goals. They had that cutting edge. They were decisive in the final third is probably how I would say it. As for United, we simply weren't. Out of possession, I like it, but it's not quite right. The idea is there. The execution is just lacking a little bit. But again, it's pre-season. Give the team time. Give Ten Hag time. Get the international players back into that team. A couple of signings perhaps as well. And United will look very different in a couple of weeks. But there's definitely some really good signs there. I think in general, it's been a pretty good pre-season for United. Even if the results weren't always right. I think we've learned a lot. I think we've taken steps in the right direction. So overall, I'm pleased. But the final result is extremely disappointing. But we're going to stop the video there because I need to leave. I need to rush off. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.